Hi, everyone. I'm Neha Butcher. I'm the co founder and CEO of Atom 11. We are an advanced ad automation software for Amazon ads for sellers, brands, and agencies. Today, I'm going to discuss and put to rest the never ending debate between ACoS and TACoS and present my view of how measuring the right metric can actually put you up for a long-term success. So let's get started. Um, so, first things first, let me just tell you or clear the air about what these two metrics are that we are going to be discussing today. ACoS is a traditional advertising metric, also called advertising cost of sale. This metric has been historically used by sellers to figure out how their advertising is performing vis-a-vis their spend versus the kind of sale that they are getting. Uh, How do you calculate ACoS? Is advertising spend divided by advertising sale. Now, as sellers matured, they actually started feeling the need of now measuring advertising metrics vis-a-vis their total sales and just figuring out how their advertising spends are measuring up against their total growth over time. Then they devised a metric called TACoS or total ACoS. Instead of dividing your ad spend versus your ad sale, now they are comparing their advertising spend with their total sales, which is derived from seller central and not their advertising console alone. The basic difference between the two metrics, ACoS and TACoS, is how they are being used to measure the effectiveness of advertising spend. One, which is ACoS, is basically using only advertising sale as a result, while the other is using total sales. First, let me tell you why ACoS may not be sufficient to measure the effectiveness of your advertising campaigns anymore. First things first, ACoS is always changing over time. There is a 7-day attribution period for sellers for their sponsored product ads, and of course, 14 days for sponsored brand and sponsored display. And there's 14 days of attribution for all sponsored product, brand, and display for sellers. Now, ACoS keeps shifting or changing over time because the advertising attributed sale continues to improve over the next 14 days. And hence, looking at yesterday's ACoS may not show you the complete picture. Point number one. Um, Yesterday, you might see that you have an ACoS of 34%, but then over time, this ACoS continues to improve because you keep getting more and more advertising sales that can be attributed to that same day, right? So now, if this ACoS is continuously changing, just taking decisions based off of this ACoS becomes very hard for you. If you compare this with TACoS, which is now looking at advertising spend over total sales, neither the advertising spend for a specific day changes over time, nor the total sales changes over time. And hence, when you look at TACoS for yesterday or 2 days back, which is whenever you are getting the data for, you will have a complete picture of how your TACoS was yesterday. So decision making based off of this number becomes more and more sturdy. Or point number two is ACoS at an ASIN level. ACoS at an ASIN level is something that people do measure, but is an incorrect metric to be measured at that level. Reason being, when you are looking at campaigns, you have halo sales, right? When you say halo sales, it means that even though a specific product was advertised, if any product under your brand name is being sold or purchased by the customer, that sale attribution will happen to the same campaign. Now, in this case, let's suppose that you have an ASIN which was promoted, but 80% of the time, that ASIN never got sold. The customer actually ended up purchasing a different ASIN. If you are using ACoS as a metric here, you will see that the total sale of that ASIN is less, but the ad attributed sale of that ASIN is higher and hence giving you a incorrect ACoS. Correct? Now, in contrast to this, if you're looking at TACoS, the TACoS is looking at advertising spend on that specific ASIN, which is always constant, and you know that, and the total sale of that ASIN, which is again constant and doesn't have anything to do with Halo sales. And hence, measuring tacos even at an ASIN level makes more sense. On Atom 11, you will be able to look at tacos at an ASIN level as well as at an overall level, helping you make faster and better advertising decisions going forward. Point number three on ACoS versus TACoS is that ACoS is a metric that can be easily gamed. So let me give you an example, right? When you know advertising so well, you know exactly what you can use to improve a specific metric, especially if there's a seller who's only using one metric to measure their KPI. For example, if you come to me and say, "Hey Neha, can you use Atom 11 and make sure that my ACoS is never going above 30%?" I as a person can very easily game the system by increasing your branded spend, right? I can just increase the branded spend to 50%. What is stopping me to decrease the ACoS to the percentage that you're asking for? Another way of gaming ACoS could be just completely pausing campaigns which are not performing well. TACoS, on the other hand, relies on the growth of your total sales, and you will be able to see how your advertising strategy is measuring up against your overall TACoS. So I think just given these 3 points, I believe that TACoS is an important and a more modern metric to look at when it comes to advertising effectiveness. Of course, you can go into more details. You can look at profitability over ad spend. You can look at other things over ad spend. But TACoS, I think, the whole point of advertising is always increasing total sales. And hence, TACoS just measures up beautifully against that KPI, against that goals. Now, even when you are measuring tacos, right, what is important is how you are measuring it. Just measuring it as a number, as a plain number, may not help you. What will help you is looking at the tacos trends at an overall level as well as at an ASIN level. Something which you can do very at a very high level of granularity on Atom 11. Do that over time, so that you can see, is tacos increasing, is tacos decreasing, is tacos over ACoS increasing, is tacos over ACoS decreasing, so that you can see whether your total sales is at over time increasing or not, versus your ad effectiveness. So let me give you an example. If you are monitoring your tacos over time and it's moving from a high tacos to a low tacos over time, which is probably everyone's dream, the basically you will have to create your own story saying, oh, you know what, is it because earlier this product was a new launch product and I really needed to spend high to ensure that this product is getting in front of the customer, and now that I have that kind of visibility, my tacos is decreasing because the customer has started knowing my product, they've started recognizing my product, and now I'm really getting the fruits of my advertising spend. On the other hand, if your tacos is consistently low and lower than a certain number, then the question that you need to ask yourself is, am I being overly cautious with my advertising? Or am I even taking the risk to actually start getting more and more sales? If my tacos is low, but my total sale is not increasing, then that means that I need to start getting more and more experimentative with my ads. What that means is that, am I doing full funnel ads or not? Am I going beyond the funnel and doing DSP if my total sales is not increasing with just sponsored ads? Am I experimenting with different keywords, different placements, different audiences using Amazon Marketing Cloud? All of these things will actually be your questions if you're consistently seeing low tacos over time. But my favorite way of measuring ads is actually something that marries our ACoS and TACoS. So, for example, if your ACoS is decreasing but your TACoS is increasing, what that probably means or is telling you is that your ads are getting more and more efficient, but your total sales are not improving or are going down, right? In this case, is it something that has to do with your product category in itself? Is it, are the searches going up or not? Secondly, how is your conversion versus the overall category, which is basically something where you check your A plus content, your product quality, content quality, etc. Right, so that your ACoS and TACoS are both in sync. The second one could be both your ACoS and your TACoS are increasing. And this probably is a very, very bad scenario, right? Which means that your ACoS is probably overpowering your profitability. Your advertising is probably overpowering your profitability. And this is the point where you really need to get back to brass tacks and figure out how to make your ads more efficient first, and then get into how to make ads function more towards increasing your total sales. And the last one basically is where your ACoS is increasing while your TACoS is decreasing. Now, this is basically where your advertising is probably becoming less and less efficient, but the product is generating some strong organic sales. Now, this probably means that your market fit is already there, which means the customer is already finding you. Maybe your organic rank has improved, or maybe it's just increase in seasonal demand, or maybe because of the ACoS, you are probably doing well organically, but the ads are not well optimized. This is probably where you can actually, wait in for some time, see if it's just the advertising performance which is not well, and then start optimizing that. But since your TACoS is decreasing, you still have the cushion to keep experimenting on your advertising strategies. So I think that if you were to ask me what is the best way of measuring your ACoS as well as TACO, what is the best way of measuring your advertising effectiveness, I would still say it is TACoS as a metric. But then TACoS cannot be measured as a point in time. It has to be measured, one, over time as a trend, and secondly, make sure that you are bringing in ACoS and figuring out how TACoS and ACoS are um, you know, functioning when married together with each other. Because TACoS alone could just be as misleading sometimes, or in some scenarios, as ACoS is. I hope that I was able to explain what is the difference between the two metrics and how one metric could be more important than the other. But at the end of the day, to make more and more informed decisions, don't just look at one metric. Look at something which is more and more integrated, or integrating between the two. On Atom 11, you will be able to measure the TACoS by ACoS metric and see how they are both, trending over time, whether is ACoS is increasing or TACoS is decreasing, or ACoS and TACoS both increasing, or ACoS decreasing, increasing, TACoS decreasing, right? All of these three cases you will be able to look at, again, not just at an overall level, but also at an individual ASIN level or a group of ASIN level. Again, I hope this topic was helpful. If you have questions, please don't hesitate in writing to us at ask@atom11.co. And until then, happy advertising.